no God. Because actions, as they say, speak louder than words. Actions speak louder than words. So if our actions are no different from those people who deny God's existence, then where does that put us? So, for example, go back to the basic point. Salah, prayer. What is the state of our salah? When we turn to Allah sincerely from our hearts, is it on a daily basis? In our 5 times daily prayers? Is it coming from our hearts? Or are we praying ritual prayers? Somebody asked you, what surah did you recite after Fatiha? You say, oh, I'm not sure. 5 times daily prayer. When does it come sincere from our heart? When calamity strikes. Huh? When the calamity strikes, we're in trouble, problems are facing us, then yes, we turn to Allah sincerely. Oh Allah, help me. But in reality, what kind of prayer is that? The one who says there is no God, he denies Allah's existence. But he finds himself in a circumstance. He's standing on top of the World Trade Center when the planes hit. And he sees the Twin Towers falling. He knows that's it. It's all over. What does he say? Ah, tough luck. No! He turns out, oh God, oh God, oh God. He calls on God even more strongly than the believers around him. If there are some Christian believers or who think they believe or whatever, and Muslims, and he's screaming louder than everybody else from the depths of his heart. So we say in the end, what is the difference between him and us? If the only sincere prayer that we make is at the time of trial, difficulty, problems, then we have to question our belief. If we can't make it real, except at that time, then I'm suggesting that maybe it isn't real at all. It isn't real. That's what it implies. And I ask Allah to help us to make it real. Because there is no salvation for us if it's not real. Because yes, Prophet ﷺ did say, whoever says La ilaha illallah will enter paradise. But he also said, whoever said La ilaha illallah sincerely from his heart will enter paradise. He clarified. It's a general situation. Yes, whoever says La ilaha illallah. But sincerity. In other narrations he said, knowing. Because, of course, a non-Muslim, a person who doesn't believe, could say La ilaha illallah. Is that going to get him into paradise? No. It has to be based on knowledge, and it has to be sincere. So we have to question ourselves. Are we sincere? And if we're not, then we have to get sincere. We have to achieve a level of sincerity which makes our salah real. Makes our salah real. Not just ritual. And our fasting. Ramadan is coming. And what of this Ramadan? What of the Ramadan which went before? Are we any different than we were before the Ramadan of last year? Or are we in the same place? During Ramadan we're in the masjid. Every evening, Taraweeh, The end of Ramadan, we don't see the masjid again for another 11 months. Or maybe we'll catch Eid or... And every year we just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Actually, from a medical perspective, this is called an obsession, where you keep doing the same thing, getting the same results, but you still keep doing it over and over and over again. So this is something we have to address. Self-change can only happen if we make our belief in Allah real. And that's why Allah said, "Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innal qulub." It is only with the remembrance of Allah that hearts find rest. This is where the peace lies, in the remembrance of Allah. The true remembrance of Allah. Prayer is remembrance of Allah, most primary. As Allah said, "Aqim as-salah li dhikri." Establish the prayer for my remembrance, to remember me. That is the goal of the prayer, to remember Allah, and in remembering Allah, the hearts find rest. Remembering Allah is not just saying Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. These are forms of remembering Allah. Dhikr. But even in those acts of remembrance, it has to be done real. It has to be done really. We say Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. Subhanallah, what does Subhanallah mean? Most of us don't even know what it means. We just say Subhanallah, Hamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, Hamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. Actually, this is not remembering Allah at all. Subhanallah, that is an insult. Hamdulillah, this is a curse. Allahu Akbar, this is an affront to Allah. But this is what we're doing. After Salah, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah. What is this? We have to ask, we have to stop a minute here. You know, we've gotten into this routine where we don't even think about it anymore. We're just going through these motions. We have to stop ourselves. Better to say Subhanallah one time, understanding what we're saying, meaning it from our hearts, than to say Subhanallah 1,000 times. Believe me. Subhanallah has no value. It's an affront to God. Allah's name is Allah. Subhanallah, not Subhanallah. Right? So we really, I mean, though we're laughing, it's actually something pathetic. Really, it is something pathetic. A number of times, people who accept Islam, I take them into the masjid, we sit down, they see the prayer, they do the prayer with us, and after the prayer, they're looking at Muslims. And then they ask me, what are the Muslims doing? I see their hands all shaking like this. You know, fingers are moving and their whole hand is shaking. During the prayer, they're fine. When the prayer is over, their hands are shaking like they have Alzheimer's or... I explained to them, actually, they're remembering Allah. Inshallah. We need to really be real about this. Be real about this. We need to address what we are doing. Actions which are purely ritual where we have no effort at sincerity. Because I'm saying, of course, we may have an effort and not achieve it. But there is no effort on our part to be sincere. Then those actions are useless. In fact, on the Day of Judgment, they become hujjah against us. Those same hands that we were saying subhanallah with is going to speak against us. Oh Allah, He cursed you with my fingers, with these fingers. Our body parts will speak out against us. So we should use it as it was prescribed. We should remember Allah as the Prophet ﷺ taught us. He taught us to remember Him, to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a real way, in a way which would touch us, would go into our hearts, it would affect us. He told us to say istighfar 100 times more in a day. Do it regularly. Seek Allah's forgiveness. He would do it Himself. He was our guide. So we need to be real. We need to put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is the only one who can help us ultimately. And we need to turn to Him, make a change, make a commitment. There has to come a point, and we don't want to wait until the last minute. We don't want to put it off, next week, after I make Umrah, or after I make Hajj, next year. No. We have to make a commitment now. Because none of us knows when we walk out of this hall what is ahead of us. That's reality. We don't know what's ahead of us. So we have to make that commitment now. We walk out of this hall, we walk out committing ourselves to remembering Allah. Remembering Him in each and everything that we do. Or trying to. Of course, maybe initially we can't achieve it because it's not something, you go from zero remembrance to 100% remembrance, like with the flip of a switch. We're not like that. It does take time. We do have to work on it. And it takes effort. It's not easy. So, this is what we need to commit ourselves to. And it is only through this, as Allah has already told us, that we will ultimately find inner peace. That which we are seeking is here. It doesn't mean that having found that element of inner peace, that we are free from any struggle, toil, difficulties, etc. But we just said there is a balance that we can make in our lives. Without that inner peace, then the struggle, the confusion, the problems, etc. are without end. It's extreme. Our problems have reached a level of extremity. It's extremities, it's extreme, it's difficult. It's too much because we don't have that balance. Because ultimately, what has happened to us is that this life, this world, the materials has become our goal. This is what is most important to us. It has become the goal of life for us. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in a hadith narrated by Zayd ibn Thabit, Zayd ibn Thabit, who wrote the Wahi, revelation, collected the Quran in the time of Abu Bakr, made the copies in the time of Uthman. He narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man kanat ad-dunya hamma, فرق الله عليه أمره وجعل فقره بين عينيه ولم يأته من الدنيا إلا ما كتب له." Whoever makes this world his main concern, Allah will scatter his affairs